The Carron Suspension Bridge was completed in August 1972 and was built by the Porton Construction Company. This bridge was built in a remote part of Scotland and often in very difficult weather conditions. Charles Porton is the managing director of that company, and he's now defending an action for negligence brought by a former employee of his, Jack Stevens, who's holding out for £35,000 in damages. The plaintiff, Jack Stevens, is not in court. He was not only paralysed by the accident, but also suffered complete loss of speech. Therefore, this action has been brought by his wife, Carol, on his behalf, and legally she is termed next friend. She is also, of course, principal witness on the issue of damages.
Mrs. Stevens, just how long had you and your husband been married when this tragedy occurred?
18 months, that's all.
18 months. And over this pitifully short time that you had together, how would you describe your marriage?
Oh, it was perfect.
Perfect? In what way perfect?
Jack was so kind, considerate and understanding. We never had no rows. When he come home, he always brought me a present. You know, little things. Of course, we went out a lot then, dancing and parties. Hardly ever stayed home. We had a smashing time. And he was so generous. Never went short of nothing. Not like now. I mean, I only had to say I liked something. He'd buy it for me.
Generous indeed. How much did your husband earn, Mrs. Stevens?
About £70 a week. Sometimes it was a bit more, but never less than 70.
This, of course, included overtime.
Oh, yes.
And so, over the 18-month period prior to the accident, your husband's weekly income averaged £70.
Oh, not just for 18 months. He'd been earning that sort of money for years, long before I met him.
Well, that, of course, is hearsay. I take it you have no objection, Mr. Lloyd.
No, my lord. So long as it is understood that I'm not admitting it.
Now, you said you went out a lot. How often in, say, a month?
Oh, 8 or 9 times at least.
So it would be safe to say that you had an understanding and generous husband who earned a good income and that you had a full social life.
Very full.
But this, of course, is now all changed.
Oh, yeah. I never go out now. I haven't done since the accident.
Tell me, Mrs. Stevens, had this accident not occurred, was it your husband's intention to remain working as a steel erector for the rest of his working life?
No, we was going to give it another 4 years, and by then we reckoned we would have saved enough money to buy a business for ourselves. I would have run it, and Jack would have got a job local, and he wouldn't have had to been away all the time.
Now, was this just some vague idea, or had you taken any active steps towards this end?
You mean, have we done anything about it? Oh, yeah, we started saving. We got up to £1,500 before it all happened, and we got the estate agents to send us details of shops, you know, to give us an idea of the price and that sort of thing.
So it wasn't just an idle pipe dream?
Oh, no, definitely not. That's what we was going to do.
Now, had you any other plans for the future?
Yeah.
And these were?
We were going to be on our own for 2 years, and then we were going to start a family.
I see. But that, of course, is now impossible.
Oh, yeah, quite impossible.
In fact, all your hopes and plans for the future have been most cruelly shattered. Now, I think it might be helpful if you could tell the court of the change that has taken place in the lives of you and your husband, Mrs. Stevens.
Yeah, well, we've lost all our savings. We haven't got a penny now. I stay at home all the time. I mean, even if we could afford to, we couldn't go out because Jack has to either be in his chair or in his bed. He has to have everything done for him. He's quite helpless. I mean, it's like having a baby around all the time. Only he's always going to be like that. Well, the hospital gave him an electric bell for emergencies and that sort of thing, but he doesn't use it.
So your husband needs someone in constant attendance the whole time?
Well, he should have, yeah, but we can't afford it. I have to do everything myself. My mum comes in and looks after him on occasions, and the nurse comes in a few times a week for 10 minutes or so. But other than that, I'm stuck there, and there's no point in talking to him because he can't answer. And even if he tries, it only upsets him, so we just sit in silence and watch the telly all the time.
I understand your husband has been attending hospital.
Oh, yeah, twice a week for 6 months, but hasn't made a scrap of difference.
I see. And financially, how do you manage?
Sort of hand to mouth, really. There's the national health and supplementary, but by the time I've paid the rent and the food and the bills, there's nothing left.
So you're saying that you're now entirely dependent on the state?
Yeah.
Whereas prior to this accident, you had money in the bank, a hopeful future, and a healthy husband earning £70 a week.
That's right. Not much hope for the future now.
Mr. Lloyd?
Mr. Stevens, I've been doing one or two sums, and I think I might have made a mistake somewhere. Perhaps you can help me. You say that you and your husband saved £1,500 in a year.
Yeah,
And that but for the accident, he'd have gone on working for another 4 years.
that's right. And that's why my solicitor says it's one of the reasons why we should be compensated.
Ah, yes, I see. So that, among other things, you claim that you would have saved £6,000 during those 4 years.
Well, we would have, wouldn't we?
Because your husband, quote, hardly ever brought home less than £70 a week.
Yeah.
But surely that's not quite correct, is it?
I don't see what you're getting at. I told you Jack earns £70 a week.
Ah, yes. Earning, but not bringing home.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And to earn that £70 a week, he had to live away from home and keep you in London, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, how much did that cost?
We had £20 a week each.
I see, and of course he'd have the usual stoppages of tax and insurance, would he?
I suppose so.
Well, then I put it to you, Mrs. Stevens, that your husband's take-home pay was around £50 a week and not 70.
If you say so.
Did you and your husband decide to buy a shop the moment you got married?
No, not the moment, no. About 6 months after, I suppose.
So in the year that followed, you saved this £1,500?
Yeah.
How?
Um,
I said how?
well, I don't know. We just saved it.
Well, impossible. If you and your husband spent £40 a week between you, that only leaves £10, and that means in a year you could only save £500.
Well, perhaps Jack had some saved already.
And perhaps you decided to buy a shop when you got married.
No, we was just looking.
And you mean to say you'd have gone on just looking for another 4 years?
Yes.
By which time your husband would have been 52. Now, steel erecting's a job for a young man, isn't it?
Jack was as strong as an ox and fit.
I'm sure he was, for his age. Am I not right in saying that he was already finding the work hard, that he realised he couldn't go on for another 4 years, and that he was actively looking for a business at the time of the accident?
No, he enjoyed his work. He just didn't like being away from home, that's all.
How often did he get home?
About twice a month.
Just for short weekends?
Yeah, that's right. He'd come home Saturday morning and go back Sunday night. Look, if he could have got the same job nearer home, he would have, but anything else wouldn't have paid the money.
I see, so he worked away because of the money.
Yeah.
Mrs. Stevens, there's a great deal of difference in the ages between you and your husband. He is 49 and you are...
28.
Now, did this age gap ever create any problems?
How do you mean?
Well, you said earlier that you were always going out, dances and parties. He didn't perhaps want to stay at home sometimes.
Jack? Oh, no, it's generally him that suggested it.
Ah, perhaps wanting to show off his attractive young wife.
Maybe.
But unfortunately, he only had the opportunity to do that twice a month, I think you said.
Yeah.
But you've already told Miss Tate that you yourself went out 8 or 9 times a month. So that means on these other occasions, your husband wasn't there.
No.
Did a Mr. Tom Morgan frequently accompany you on these other occasions?
Well, Tom's a friend of Jack's. They was working on the same job.
Yes, I know. He's also unmarried. Did he not regularly get away from the site and visit you while your husband was away?
With respect, my lord, I really cannot see the relevance of all this.
Well, I can, Miss Tate. The point is relevant to the issue of damages. Among other things, the plaintiff is claiming for a shortened expectation of life. The question is, did Mr. Stevens have the prospect of a predominantly happy life or not?
Mrs. Stevens, would you say that your husband is a jealous man?
No.
He didn't object that you, a married woman, should be taken out by another man.
Tom and he were close friends.
Where? You mean they're not now?
Oh, of course they are. It's just that Tom's been working away on another job, but he always calls in to see Jack.
Mrs. Stevens, I suppose your husband did know that while he was working hundreds of miles away, you were being taken out by another man.
Yes, of course he did.
Mrs. Stevens, on the occasions when Mr. Morgan kindly took you out, were you alone or were you with friends?
With friends.
Always?
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Stevens.
Thank you, Mrs. Stevens. You may leave the witness box.
I call Thomas Morgan, my lord. How long had you known Jack Stevens?
Oh, on and off for about 10 years. We'd worked together on about 4 or 5 jobs, I suppose.
So you didn't always work together?
Oh, no, you see, a good steel erector earns far more money by going freelance. You know, do one job, then move on. Well, after a while, you get known in the business, and while you're working on one job, you get the next one lined up. Well, if you're reliable, like, say, me and Jack, well, you never stop working.
So, like yourself, he went from job to job?
Oh, yeah, because he was reliable. Well, Jack could get taken on any site, any time. A gaffer would always find a place for him because, well, I mean, he knew he'd put in a fair day's work. And on top of that, he never caused no trouble.
Now, in your opinion, Mr. Morgan, that of a charge hand and a shop steward, and a man who's been in the business over 15 years, until what age would Jack Stevens have been able to gain regular employment as a steel erector?
My lord, this is a purely hypothetical question.
I cannot agree, my lord.
Mr. Lloyd, I don't think the witness is qualified to say what the future demand for steel erectors would be. But I do think he can say, having worked with the man, what kind of physical condition he was in and so on.
As your lordship pleases.
I'm obliged, my lord. Mr. Morgan, in your opinion, could Jack Stevens have physically gone on working until the age of 52?
Definitely.
A moment, Miss Tate. Mr. Morgan, do you personally know of many steel erectors aged 52 and above?
Well, not many, my lord, perhaps 2 or 3. But then Jack was the exception rather than the rule. I certainly would have been willing to work with him.
Now, Mr. Morgan, I'd like you to describe the events that led up to this tragic accident on March the 15th and what followed it.
Yeah, well, we came off the bridge that night at 8 o'clock. 12 hours we'd done that day. We were putting in a fair amount of overtime because the job was behindhand. Anyway, we was all wet and tired.
It had been raining then?
Oh, yeah, it always does in that part of the world. It's a sort of fine drizzle all the time. There wasn't much wind about, but what there was kept coming in gusts. It's dangerous when it's like that. Anyway, we clocks off and goes down to the canteen for a warm-up and some grub.
As far as you were concerned, you'd finished for the day.
Too true. All I wanted was me pit.
Pit?
Bed.
Do try and use words we can all understand, Mr. Morgan.
Sorry.
And what happened then?
Well, we hadn't been in the canteen more than 20 minutes when Walker, he's the site foreman, he comes steaming in hell of a flap. He says that Porton...
Mr. Porton being the managing director of the defendant company.
That's right. He says that Porton's turned up and we've all got to go back up to work again. Well, I told him straight up he could
Mr.
go
Morgan, were you given any reason for this urgency?
Oh, yeah, there was some cock and bull story that the governor had heard a gale warning on the car radio. A false 9, he said. He said if we don't get up and do the middle link-up, that the old bridge could come down. Well, I told him I didn't believe it. I mean, there was hardly any wind at all, you see. Anyway, I goes out to talk to Porton direct, but by then, well, he's just driving off the site, isn't he?
And what had happened by the time you went back to the canteen?
Well, Walker had already persuaded Jack and a couple of the lads to go back up again, so there wasn't much I could do except agree. So I said, all right, we'll go back and do just the middle link-up. But that's all.
Mr. Morgan, before you continue, would you explain to myself and the jury in simple layman's terms exactly what you mean by link-up?
Yeah, but all right. Well...
Perhaps the model might help.
Oh, yeah, tar. Well, on a suspension bridge like this that's built across a river, well, the whole thing is built up on both sides at the same time. And you build the whole thing up both sides at the same time, and it's built out bit by bit, until finally there's just this gap in the middle. And then, well, you link it up.
But how is it physically done?
Oh, you bolt across some RSJs, rolled steel joists.
Metal girders?
That's right. Yeah, well, of course, once that's done, it's all much stronger because the whole thing's in one piece.
But immediately prior to this linking up, the bridge is at its greatest risk.
Oh, yeah.
So a force 9 gale would have been a real threat.
Yeah, but I mean, except that night there wasn't no force 9 gale, nor the next day. It was just a trick by Porton and Walker to con a bit more work out of us because the job was behind, and it nearly cost Jack his life.
Mr. Morgan, we will all get along a great deal better if you will confine your evidence to the facts and don't make accusations of that kind.
Just answer the questions, Mr. Morgan, that's all. So, having already done a 12-hour shift, you and your men agreed to go back to work.
We were persuaded, but only because we believed what we was told, that it was an emergency. Otherwise, none of us would have gone back.
Now, were you or any of the men issued with safety belts?
No. The shed where they was kept was locked.
Did you see this for yourself?
Yeah, well, it was most of the time. I'd been on to Walker about it for months.
Did you try to get the key?
Well, it wasn't no point. Walker always had it, and he was on the other side of the river by then, organising the other gang.
I see. And what happened then?
Well, we climbed up the first set of ladders here, and the next set of ladders was along here, and to get to them we had to go along an RSJ 20 feet.
And how wide was this RSJ, this, girder?
9 inches.
Was there a safety net beneath you?
No.
Were the weather conditions the same as earlier? Drizzling rain and wind coming in gusts?
Yes, it was.
So you and your men were asked to walk along 20 feet of 9-inch wide girder, wet with rain and with no safeguards whatsoever?
Yeah.
Was it at this point that the accident occurred?
Yeah. A couple of the lads had already gone across. I came next and Jack was last. I got about halfway across and I heard a shout. Well, as I turned, Jack was already falling. Well, we all got down as fast as we could, but by the time we got there, he was already lying there as he'd fallen in the mud. Well, at first, I thought he was dead. And then I saw him breathe. And, well, then we called the ambulance and they took him away.
Now, after the ambulance had left, did you return to work?
No, none of us did. I followed on to the hospital.
And what happened when you did return to the site?
I had a flaming row with Porton and Walker, that's what happened. I told them that we shouldn't have been sent back up and that Jack should have had a safety belt. Walker says he could have had one and takes me down to the shed. Well, of course, by that time it's open, isn't it? I mean, they've had time, haven't they?
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
You've said that the shed where safety belts were kept was always locked.
Yeah?
Always? Last February, for instance?
Yeah.
Am I not right in saying that in February of last year, you led an unofficial strike for better working conditions?
It might have started out as unofficial, but the union soon backed us up, and we won. The company met all our demands.
So I believe. And yet in this strike for better working conditions, no mention was ever made that safety belts were not available. Well, I put it to you that you didn't mention them because they were available.
No.
Or was it then that the men weren't interested because they don't wear safety belts? Do you regularly wear a safety belt, Mr. Morgan? Do you?
Well, no, but I mean, that's hardly the point, is it? I've seen Jack wear one and he would have done that night, but he couldn't get at them.
Did he actually ask for one?
Well, no, I've already told you there wasn't no point. I yelled out to the lads that the shed was locked again.
Well, you're saying that he didn't wear a belt because of what you told him.
Look, I was standing 6 foot from the shed. I could see it was locked. I'm not blind, you know.
Well, I suggest that door was not locked, merely closed.
No.
Now, you say that you've known Jack Stevens for 10 years and were friends.
That's right.
And that while he was away, you were in the habit of taking his wife out.
Well, yeah, but it was like Carol said, mostly with friends.
Jack Stevens never objected.
Well, no, he was only too pleased that she was being taken care of by someone he could trust.
What were the names of these friends?
Friends?
The people you and Mrs. Stevens went out with. What were the names?
Well, I can't say as I remember.
You're a communist, I believe, Mr. Morgan.
Oh.
My lord, I cannot see that the witness's political beliefs can have any possible bearing on this case.
Neither can I, Miss Tate.
As your lordship pleases. Mr. Morgan, it is a fact, is it not, that you and Mr. Stevens had a political argument on the night of March the 14th that ended in a fight?
Fight? No, it was more of a difference of opinion.
Are you saying then that no blows were struck?
Well, there might have been a bit of pushing, but that sort of thing often happens. It's
Did
all
you
forgotten the next
strike
day.
him? Please answer yes or no.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it was all over in a flash.
And did it stem from a political argument?
Well, only vaguely. Jack had some plans for a shop, and he was looking at them. And, well, I made some crack about him becoming a right capitalist, that's all.
Oh, I see. And that's why blows were exchanged? No other reason? No mention of Mrs. Stevens, perhaps? When you and your gang came off duty and went into the canteen on March the 15th, did you all have a drink?
Yeah, I had a beer.
What did Mr. Stevens drink?
I can't say I remember.
Was that because you weren't on speaking terms?
No, I was more interested in food than drink.
So you don't know how many or what type of drink Jack Stevens had that night?
No.
Now, have you any idea why Stevens agreed to go back to work when you, his close friend and charge hand, were so against it? Did he give you a reason?
No, I can only assume that Walker had persuaded him.
Was he drunk?
Certainly not.
Or was he perhaps trying to prove to you that despite his age, physically, he was the better man?
No.
Are you quite sure that you and Mr. Stevens weren't engaged in some test of physical daring on the bridge that night?
No, definitely not.
Mr. Morgan, why is it that you don't wear a safety belt?
Well, because they're more of a hindrance than a help. They're bulky and they sometimes catch on things. But I do wear them sometimes. I mean, when conditions are dangerous, like on that night.
And would you ever engage in a test of daring while working at height?
Never. I've been in the business too long to mess around like that. We got a saying, one arm for yourself and one for the governor. And if you want to stay alive, it's a saying you remember.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
You may stand down, Mr. Morgan. Miss Tate.
My lord, as my next witness is a doctor and can only stay for a short time.
You would like him heard before lunch, is
If
that
possible, my lord.
it? Very well.
I call Dr. Mackay, my lord.
I take it you will not be long, Miss Tate.
No, my lord. Are you Dr. Gordon Mackay, Senior Casualty Officer at the Karen District Hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
And you live in the hospital?
Yes.
Only a few questions, Dr. Mackay. At what time was Mr. Stevens admitted to the hospital on the night of March the 15th?
9:40.
And it's been agreed that the accident occurred at 8:35. Well, that means it took 1 hour and 5 minutes for him to reach the hospital.
Yes, but you must remember the ambulance had a 15-mile journey either way, and because of the condition of the patient, the return journey had to be taken gently.
So, in your opinion, Doctor, Mr. Stevens received treatment at the earliest possible opportunity?
He did. After I'd completed my initial examination, I phoned the specialist. He was there within an hour.
And would you say that all the injuries were the result of the fall?
I would.
Thank you, Dr. Mackay. Oh, I'm sure you and your staff did everything you could to help Mr. Stevens.
I'll only keep you a moment, Dr. Mackay. You say that all Mr. Stevens' injuries were the result of the fall?
Yes.
Including the torn ligament in his left arm?
Oh, yes, I think that's a reasonable assumption.
But had it been torn, say, 24 hours before, would you have any way of knowing this?
Well, no.
Well, you'd agree, then, that it is possible for this to have happened, and perhaps in a fight.
Aye, it's possible, but...
Did your examination of Mr. Stevens include the taking of blood tests?
Yes.
What were your findings?
You mean his blood group?
No, I mean, was there any alcohol in his bloodstream? Well, Doctor?
Yes, there was.
How many milligrams?
90.
Oh, Jack Stevens still had 90 milligrams of alcohol in his bloodstream when you examined him. Thank you, Doctor.
The case of Stevens versus the Portland Construction Company will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Jack Stevens, a steel erector, fell off the Karen suspension bridge while working on it. He is now paralyzed and has lost the power of speech. There's no hope of recovery. His wife, Carol, acting on behalf of her husband, is suing the Portland Construction Company and is holding out for £35,000 in damages. Tom Morgan, a charge hand and friend of Jack Stevens, has given evidence to say that not only were the men not issued with safety belts, but that after working a 12-hour shift, there was no need for the men to have gone up at all. Counsel for the defence, however, while cross-examining a Dr. Mackay, brought to light the fact that just prior to his accident, Jack Stevens had drunk enough alcohol to fail a breathalyzer test. In the box now is the defendant, Charles Porton, managing director of the Portland Construction Company, Jack Stevens' employer.
During the 10 years that you've been managing director, have there been other fatalities or serious accidents?
Yes, I'm sorry to say there have. 4 killed, 3 seriously injured.
Is this a high mortality figure for your type of business?
No, as a matter of fact, it's well below the average for the industry.
Below average? So as far as accidents are concerned, your company has a good record?
Yes. Yes, I suppose it has.
Is this pure chance, or is there a reason for it?
Well, I think, well, without wishing to blow my own trumpet, I think it is perhaps because we take a little more care than most companies. I always insist on three things. Firstly, the man must have a high level of competence and experience. Second, we never let them work in really bad weather conditions, ice, that sort of thing.
And thirdly?
We never take on men over 45.
Well, why then, Mr. Porton, did you employ Jack Stevens when he was well over 45?
Because I'm afraid he gave his age as 43.
What are you saying, that he told you that himself, Mr. Port?
Well, not me personally, my lord, but it is recorded in the employment register.
Oh, really, my lord? If the defence is seeking to raise fresh allegations of contributory negligence,
Yes,
I
Miss
feel
Dade,
that,
I won't make any decisions about amending pleadings at this point, but, Mr. Lloyd, I think we ought to have that register produced.
Very well, my lord. Had you known Mr. Stevens' correct age, would your company have employed him, Mr. Porton?
No, sir. And, of course, this accident would not have taken place.
Now, in the February of 1972, a strike took place. What was this about?
Oh, just a few minor grievances.
Anything to do with safety regulations?
No. No, it was just a storm on a teacup, really. It's the sort of thing that often happens at any working site. Little things get blown up out of all proportion.
No one complained about safety belts not being available?
No, sir. For the simple reason that they always were available.
Now then, Mr. Porton, it's been stated that on the night of March the 15th, you gave orders that the men should go back to work and link up the bridge. Is this correct?
No.
No. I see. Well, would you tell the court what did happen while you're at the site on the night?
Certainly. I'd been away for a couple of days. I'd been at a meeting all day, and I dropped in at the site on my way back. I'd been away for the weekend. I wanted to see what progress they'd made. I spoke to Walker, my site foreman, and he was the only man I saw while I was there. He told me that they were due to link up the bridge the following day. I mentioned that I'd heard a gale warning on the car radio, but that at the moment the weather seemed reasonable enough. We chatted about technical matters for a couple of minutes, and then I left.
But you gave no orders for the men to go back to work?
No, sir. And I'm sure you'll find that neither did Mr. Walker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Porton.
Mr. Porton, you stated earlier that safety belts were always available to the men.
Yes.
Now, when you first arrived at the site, how long did you stay?
Oh, about 5, possibly 10 minutes at the most.
And on this occasion, did you inspect the shed where the safety belts were kept?
Well, no.
Then you cannot be certain that the shed was indeed open.
Well, put like that, no, I suppose I can't, but on previous experience...
Oh, well, I'm afraid it won't do you, Mr. Porton, because just because a man does a thing one day is not evidence that he'll do it the next.
Yes, I do take the point. All I can say is that when I was recalled to the site, the shed where the safety belts were kept was open.
And as you arrived there after the accident, you couldn't swear on oath just when it had been opened. Now, you've told my learned friend that your company's accident rate is below average. Now, how do you come by that conclusion?
Well, madam, civil engineers have a very simple formula. Experience has shown them that for a contract of £1 million, it will inevitably result in the death of one man. £2 million, 2 men, so on.
And it was on this that you based the statement?
Well, yes.
Mr. Porton, this formula, was it arrived at by scientific study or merely from a general observation?
I'm afraid I don't know, my lord, but I understand that insurance companies take it into account when assessing the risk.
Well, then it would seem to have some value.
I'm obliged, my lord. Mr. Porton, would you happen to know how much work your company has done in the last 10 years?
Yes,
in pounds, I mean.
As a matter of fact, I do. Our contracts have amounted to almost £9 million. That's why I said that our...
Your mortality rate was below average.
Yes.
And how much business in the last 3 years?
Oh, it's difficult to say offhand. Well, possibly around 3 million.
Well, am I not correct in saying that the 4 men who were killed all died in the last 3 years?
Well, yes. But I based my statement on a 10-year period.
Oh, I'm sure you did. But to quote your own formula, 1 man dead for every £1 million worth of business. Now, we now find that in your particular company, 4 men died for £3 million worth of business, and yet you say that your record is that your record is above average.
Yes, for a 10-year period.
Well, I'm sure the court do not need me to point out that when statistics become a movable feast, they can be arranged to prove almost anything. But let's proceed, shall we? Now, why did you go to the site on that particular night?
Well, it says so. I've already said I'd been away for a couple of days, and coming back from the meeting, I had just dropped in. I mean, on the off chance. I had to pass it on my way to the hotel.
You expected, of course, that the bridge would have been linked up by then.
Well, yes.
And when you saw it wasn't, were you angry?
Angry? Good Lord, no.
Not even slightly annoyed?
Oh, disappointed, perhaps, and that's all.
The fact that the bridge was at its maximum risk, and that you'd heard a gale warning and this did not worry you?
Well, yes. There wasn't much I could do about it.
You could have ordered the men up again.
I could have done, but I didn't.
Was that because you'd already told your site foreman to do it for you?
No, madam. The men were neither ordered up by me nor by Mr. Walker.
So although there was the possibility that the bridge was in danger, you did nothing?
We agreed that there was no immediate danger, but that if the gale got up, he would call me and we would assess the matter then.
Did you discuss the meeting you'd had with the road contractors earlier that day, by any chance?
I think I may have mentioned a few details, yes.
The fact that you were being persuaded to speed up progress on the bridge?
No, because we weren't.
But is it not a fact that on March the 15th, the bridge was behind schedule?
A little, perhaps, but with a contract of this size, this is bound to happen from time to time. There are periods when you're ahead. The important thing is to finish on time, and this we did, to the day.
Are you saying that the building contractors never mentioned the completion date at all?
Only in as far as they were a little ahead of schedule and we were a little behind at that time. They wanted reassurance that we'd both finish on time, that's all.
Did your contract contain a penalty clause?
Most contracts do now.
I'm asking about your contract, Mr. Porton.
I'm sorry, I thought I'd answered you. Yes, it did.
And had your company indemnified itself against a possible loss?
I imagine so. We normally do.
But did you on this occasion?
I usually leave this sort of thing to my accountants. As I say, I imagine that we did, but without looking it up, I couldn't swear to it one way or the other.
This contract was very important to you, wasn't it?
Yes, of course. I'm sure a contract of this size would be important to any company.
Oh, no, I didn't say to any company. I said it was important to you. Is it not a fact that in the previous year, your shareholders had tried to vote you out of office because for 2 years running, the company had shown a loss?
Madam, the business world is full of rumors of takeover.
This is not an idle rumor, Mr. Porton. It was well reported in the press. In fact, it was suggested that another loss would see you out of office.
Absolute nonsense.
Absolute nonsense. Well, you did not dismiss the matter so lightly when you wrote to this newspaper on June the 1st, 1971. In fact, you made a very solemn promise. You said, "I am so confident that the company will be in profit within 12 months that if it is not, I will happily hand over the reins."
Yes. Well, that was written in the heat of the...
The heat of the moment.
the heat of the battle, I was going to say. And within 12 months, in fact, we were in profit.
But you were not to know that on the night of March the 15th, were you, Mr. Porton? If that bridge had collapsed, that would be the end of your company.
The fact is, madam, it did not collapse.
I put it to you, Mr. Porton, that the fear of losing control of your firm was foremost in your mind that night.
No, madam.
That the fear had been heightened earlier in the day when you'd been forced to admit that you were behind schedule. That when you reached the site and found that the bridge had not been linked up, you were panicked into demanding that this job be completed immediately, and as an excuse you invented this so-called gale warning.
Madam, I've never heard such a monstrous pack of false assumptions in all my life. Unfortunately, your present status protects you from libel. But it's a freedom you grossly abuse.
Were you present when this fight took place between Morgan and Stevens?
Yes, I was.
And could you tell the court exactly what happened, Mr. Walker?
Well, this was Sunday night, the 14th, the day before the accident. Most of the boys had gone into town, and there were only about 10 of us in the canteen. I was having a drink, and Jack was nearby talking to Morgan. And after a while, they started arguing about politics. And then Morgan began to get personal.
How do you mean personal?
Well, he started taking the mickey about Jack's age, saying he couldn't cope with a young wife, he was past it. Of course, this got Jack annoyed, but he said he didn't have to prove anything to a straddler. And then there was a bit
One
of a...
moment, Mr. Walker. This word you just used, what, straddler, did you say?
Yes, sir.
What exactly does that mean?
Well, it's what we call a man who walks a girder with his legs straddled either side of it, sir. You see, the girder's between his legs and his feet are touching the bottom part of it.
Really? I had no idea. And I take it that on this occasion it was used as a term of derision.
Yes, sir. You see, Jack Stevens was a top walker.
A top?
A man who walks along the top of a girder.
I see. So Mr. Stevens was implying that he was superior to Mr. Morgan, who was a straddler.
Yes, sir. Top walking takes a lot more nerve.
I imagine it's much more dangerous, is it?
Indeed it is, sir.
I see. Thank you. Carry on, Mr. Lloyd.
I'm much obliged, my lord. Was it after this that they started to fight?
Yes, Jack threw a punch at Morgan and missed. The table went over. They set to. It didn't last long because me and a few of the others soon stopped it. And then Morgan went off with a couple of his mates and I bought Jack a drink.
Did Mr. Stevens say anything about the fight? Did you discuss it at all?
No, he was feeling pretty fed up. He didn't want to talk at all. In fact, when I asked him if he'd hurt his arm, I was told to mind my own business.
Arm? Which arm was this?
That was the left one. He kept moving the shoulder, rubbing the muscle like he might have sprained it.
You said just now that he'd aimed a punch at Mr. Morgan, a punch that had missed. Now, was this a left or a right-handed punch?
It was a left, straight left.
I see. How did Morgan and Stevens behave towards each other the next morning?
Well, I only saw them from a distance, but they seemed to be working well enough together.
Now, can you tell us what happened when you came off duty on the night of March the 15th from the moment that you left the bridge?
Well, I locked up the store and the safety belt shed, and I went across to the site office. I entered up a few figures on the progress sheet, and then I went across to the canteen.
Was that when Mr. Porton arrived?
Yes, I went across to his car and we talked for a bit.
Mr. Walker, now this is most important. Can you remember exactly what was said?
Yes, he asked me why we hadn't linked up yet, and I told him the reason and that we were going to do it the next day, and he said he hoped it would be all right because had I heard the gale warning. Well, I hadn't heard the radio all that night, so he told me about it.
Did you discuss whether or not anything should be done?
Yes, I said the men had just done a 12-hour shift. It wouldn't be right to send them up again, especially as there was no immediate danger, and he agreed. So we decided we wouldn't do anything unless the wind did blow up again. But if it didn't, we'd get the job done as soon as it was light. Then I said goodnight and went to the canteen.
And Mr. Porton?
Well, I think he went down to the bridge to have a look at it and then got into his car and drove off.
What happened when you got to the canteen?
Well, I must have looked a bit fed up because somebody asked me what was wrong. I told them about the gale warning and what Mr. Porton had said, and that we might have to go up again in the night if the wind blew up again. And then I went across to talk to Jack. I didn't actually hear what Morgan said, but he seemed to be laying the law down a bit, and then he went out.
To speak to Mr. Porton?
Well, I suppose so.
What happened next?
Well, Jack got his boys together, and he said they were going to do the job there and then to save going up again in the night, providing they got double time. Well, I said it wasn't strictly necessary, and I wouldn't let them because I thought they were tired.
Now, please think carefully about this. Did you at any time either ask those men to go back to work or agree to their suggestion?
No. Of course, when I saw I couldn't stop them, I had to go along and get things organized.
Do you know why Morgan went back to work?
Well, he was their charge hand, wasn't he? Anyway, after Jack had a go at him...
Had a go at him?
Yes, he said he was all mouth and trousers. He said the real men were going back to work, even if the little boys were afraid. Well, that was the gist of it. He needed him, so he had to go.
I see. And did you feel that this was an act of bravado for Mr. Morgan's benefit?
Beg your pardon?
Showing off?
Well, I suppose so, certainly as far as Morgan was concerned.
On leaving the canteen, what was the first thing you did, Mr. Walker?
I opened the safety belt shed.
Now, you're quite sure of that?
Yes.
Did you actually see the accident?
No, sir. I was on the opposite side of the river with the other gang at the time.
Mr. Lloyd, Miss Tate, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I would like to clarify what now seems to be the main issue in this case. If neither Mr. Walker nor Mr. Porton actually sent the men up onto the bridge, and the men went up in defiance of Mr. Walker's explicit instructions, I really cannot see that the defendants are liable.
Exactly, my lord.
But only if that is indeed the case, my
Yes,
lord.
precisely. The pity is that all these extraneous issues have been entered on the pleadings. It would seem to me a great deal of time and money has been wasted. But let us continue. Go on, please, Mr. Lloyd.
It's been stated that you and Mr. Morgan had a quarrel later that evening. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. It was after he came back from the hospital, when Mr. Porton was there. Morgan blamed me for the whole thing. Kept shouting and swearing at both of us, coming out with the usual communist bit. about the bosses treading on the workers, and when I pointed out to him that all the boys had gone up that night of their own free will and not one of them had bothered to get a safety belt, he shouted me down and called me a liar. In the end, Mr. Porton told me to take him down the shed and show him it was open.
And?
When he saw I was right, he accused me of opening the shed after the accident.
Had you, Mr. Walker?
No.
Thank you.
How long have you worked for the Porton Construction Company, Mr. Walker?
18 years, miss.
So you obviously have considerable experience. Would you say you're a good site foreman?
No need for false modesty, Mr. Walker.
Well, yeah, I suppose I was pretty good. I did the job well enough.
And what would you say are the prime requirements of a good site foreman?
Well, for a start, he's got to know the trade backwards, be a good supervisor, able to handle men, and make sure the job goes ahead as planned, I suppose.
I see. Be a good supervisor and be able to handle men. And yet, according to you, on the night of March the 15th, although you felt it wasn't necessary for the men to return to work, they turned round on you and said that that is what they were going to do, against your wishes and against the wishes of the employer. Now, do you honestly expect us to believe that you, a good site foreman, couldn't have dissuaded them?
I tried, miss.
Well, are you sure you didn't ask them to go up?
I'm quite sure. You see, I may not have really put my foot down very hard, but I didn't want to antagonize the men. Small things like that can easily lead to a strike.
And another strike might jeopardize your chance for promotion. Is that what you're saying?
No.
But nevertheless, it is true to say, is it not, that only a month after the accident, you were, in fact, promoted to supplies manager at head office?
Yes, but that had been in the air for months.
So on the 15th of March, you already knew that in the near future you were going to be promoted?
Yes.
The fact that the accident occurred when you were in charge didn't diminish your prospects of promotion?
No, it was an accident. I mean, this sort of thing can happen to anybody in my position.
Have there been many accidents on sites when you've been in charge, Mr. Walker?
A number, miss.
How many? Serious ones, I mean.
5.
How many fatal?
3.
I see, 3 fatal. Now, on the night of the 15th, when you came down from the bridge, did you think, like the other men, that you'd finished work for the day?
Yes.
And that is the reason that you locked the safety belt shed?
Well, it wouldn't be needed again for that day.
No, quite. And you hung the key with the others in your office?
Yes, on the board.
Fine. Now, let me just see if I've got these facts straight. Mr. Porton arrived and asked you if the bridge had been linked up, and you said it hadn't. He asked you if you'd heard the weather forecast, and you said you hadn't. And he told you there'd been a gale warning. Now, is that how it happened?
Yes.
And I believe the next thing you said was that it wouldn't be fair to send the men up again because they'd only just finished a 12-hour shift. Now, why did you say that?
Well, they had.
No. I mean, was Mr. Porton suggesting that the men should go back again?
No.
Then why say it?
I don't know. I just said it, that's all.
Did Mr. Porton tell you what had happened at the meeting he'd had with the road contractors earlier that day?
Only that they were ahead of time and we'd have to get a move on to catch up.
Did you take this as an indirect order to get the men back to work on the link-up immediately?
No. We'd finished talking about all that by then. It was just conversation, really. It might have been one of the reasons why I didn't object too much when the boys said they were going up.
Without any prompting from you?
Yes.
So after the men told you what they were going to do, you followed them out of the canteen?
Yes, I went to open up the safety shed.
Is it possible that they may have got there before you? I mean, were you delayed in any way?
No, I went straight from the shed to the canteen. From the canteen to the shed.
You're quite certain of that?
Yes.
And then you unlocked the door?
Yes.
With what?
With a key.
The key that was left hanging in your office when Mr. Porton arrived. Now, if you went straight from the canteen to the shed with the safety belts, you couldn't possibly have had that key with you, could you, Mr. Walker?
Oh, well, I picked it up on the way.
But the office is in the opposite direction, isn't it?
Mr. Walker, are you aware that perjury is a punishable offence? I strongly advise you to answer learned counsel's questions honestly and truthfully. Once you have left the witness box, you will have no opportunity to correct what you have said.
Are we now to understand, Mr. Walker, that the shed was in fact locked and that Jack Stevens could not have obtained a safety belt?
Yeah.
Was this shed frequently locked during working hours?
Yes.
Why?
Well, we'd had a
We can't hear you, Mr. Walker.
We'd had a number of belts stolen, and Mr. Porton said if they wanted a belt, they could come and ask for one.
And on the night of March the 15th, were you told to get the men back to work?
I wasn't told exactly, you know, it was more of a suggestion.
In what way was it more of a suggestion?
Well, he did say if, well, I should think of the company first, and then the company might think of me. He didn't mention promotion, but...
By he, of course, you do mean Mr. Porton.
Well, yes.
So did you, in fact, ask the men to go back to work?
Well, not in so many words. I mean, I didn't ask them. It was more of a suggestion.
To which Mr. Morgan strongly objected.
Yes, but I mean, I didn't order him to go up. He took it like that, but I didn't actually say it.
Was it your idea to unlock the safety belt shed after the accident, Mr. Walker?
No, Mr. Porton told me to do it.
Did you realize that you were tampering with evidence?
But it wasn't my fault, really. I mean, I was told to do it. I didn't want to get the company into trouble.
Not to mention yourself. Thank you, Mr. Walker.
Mr. Lloyd, would I be right in assuming that you will be calling Mr. Porton back to the witness box?
With your permission, my lord, yes.
I shall look forward with considerable interest to what he has to say.
My lord, before I recall Mr. Porton, there are some questions I would like to ask Mr. Walker in re-examination.
The case of Stevens versus the Porton Construction Company will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. In the case of Stevens versus the Porton Construction Company, there has been a dramatic turn of events. George Walker, a prime witness for the defence, has just committed perjury. Having initially said that the shed containing safety belts was open, he now admits that it was locked. Walker has tried to place the entire blame on his managing director, Charles Porton, claiming that he was acting on his instructions. Charles Porton has given evidence denying strongly that he ever gave instructions for the men to be sent back up to work. He contends that if the plaintiff, Jack Stevens, together with Tom Morgan and the rest of the men, went back onto the bridge, that they did so voluntarily and contrary to express instructions. Therefore, neither he nor his company can be held responsible for the accident that occurred.
Yes, Mr. Lloyd.
Mr. Walker, during the construction of the bridge, your wife continued to reside in London.
Yes, she did.
Will you look at this document?
Before the witness sees it, my lord, I'd like to know what it is.
My lord, it is a letter written by Mr. Walker. The plaintiff has had paper notice of the intention to use it in evidence, but my learned friend can see it if she wishes.
Proper notice has been given, Miss Tate?
Yes, my lord.
Mr. Walker, will you look at this document? It is a letter written by you to your wife just 2 days after Stephen's accident, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, would you read the part that I've marked, dealing with the accident?
After I told them about the gale warning, the men wanted to go up again. I told them I would not allow it, but they went up without my authority. Jack Stevens fell and is now paralyzed.
They went up without your authority. Thank you. You needn't read any more.
Mr. Walker, which of your stories is true?
The one I said yesterday.
So you lied in that letter to your wife. Why?
Well, I knew she'd get to hear of it. I didn't want her to think I'd sent the men up.
That was the reason?
Yes, sir.
Have you anything else to say?
No.
You can go, Walker. Mr. Lloyd, do you wish to recall Mr. Porton?
Well, I will simply tender him for further cross-examination, my lord.
All right, come back, Mr. Portman. Portman, you are still on oath, you understand?
I do.
I expect you're wondering just what I'm going to ask you, Mr. Portman.
No, madam. I imagine you're going to ask me about the misleading statements of the previous witness.
Misleading statements? Well, I must say that's a rather delicate way of putting it. Yes. But before going into these misleading statements, there's one or two things I'd like to ask you about your previous evidence. Now, His Lordship has asked the defendants to produce an employment register so that we can verify a statement you made.
This register has been produced?
Indeed it has. My lord, if the jury may see this, the relevant page is marked. Now, you stated, Mr. Portman, that your company did not employ men over the age of 45. And at the time of employment, Jack Stevens gave his age as 43.
Yes.
I take it you meant to imply that had he given his correct age, he would never have been employed in the first place.
Yes, that is correct. In fact, it has been pointed out to me that I gave written notice of this fact to my site foreman over 7 years ago.
Yes, well, it's a little late in the day to introduce that point now.
No, I'm sorry. I can produce...
Let's just deal with the register, shall we, Mr. Portman? Have you actually seen it?
I have now.
And have you noticed that on the relevant page, all the threes are well-rounded, with one exception, that of the 3 in the 43 opposite Jack Stevens' age. This begins with a straight horizontal line, as if one was writing a figure 7, whereas all the other 3s are well-rounded. Have you noticed that?
No, I can't say I have.
I see that, please. Mr. Portman, has this record been altered?
Not as far as I'm aware, my lord. But then I saw it for the first time today. I was given the information verbally and accepted it as being accurate.
In whose handwriting is this?
Well, the whole book has been made out by the site foreman, Mr. Walker.
I see, thank you. I'll carry on, Mr.
Obliged, my lord. Where was this register kept, Mr. Portman?
At the site, in Mr. Walker's office.
No, I mean when the bridge was completed.
Oh, it was filed away with all the other records, as usual.
In your office?
Well, not in my office itself, not in the same building, yes.
Was it freely available?
Oh, yes. The accounts department often had to refer to the register for several years after a job has been completed. National insurance, tax queries, that sort of thing.
So had you wished to, you yourself could have gained access to that register.
But, my lord, I really must protest.
Quite so, Mr. Lloyd. Miss Tate, are you in possession of evidence that we have not yet heard?
No, my lord, I merely wish to emphasize the fact that the register was available to everyone, from office boy to managing director.
Then your question was most unfortunately phrased. Mr. Portman has already said the book was freely available.
I apologize, my lord. I'll withdraw the question.
More important, members of the jury, you will immediately dismiss from your minds the implications contained in that question.
Mr. Portman, I previously asked you if the penalty clause in your contract was covered by any form of indemnity, and you said you weren't sure, but you thought it must have been. Now, have you had a chance since to check this point?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I have. It seems I was completely wrong. My accountants now tell me that we didn't take out an indemnity because the penalty clause was small, and also we'd obtained a long completion date. On top of all this, in the initial costing, we had overestimated on man-hours, and that in itself was an insurance.
Mr. Portman, do you think you could explain that in layman's terms so we could all understand?
I'm sorry. Well, in the initial costing, we had estimated that a workforce of say, X men could finish the work in 18 months. Later examination proved that there was a mistake. The same workforce could finish a job in 17 months. So, as we had time in hand, it was thought that we could dispense with the indemnity.
I see. But despite this initial error, you were still behind schedule on March the 15th, were you not?
Yes, but as I've already explained, with a contract this size, one is constantly either ahead or behind schedule. It was just a slight setback, that's all.
Oh, I'd wholly call it a slight setback, Mr. Portman. You'd not only lost your initial month's grace, but you were behind schedule as well.
Well, the important thing is that the bridge was finished, surely.
But you were not to know this on March the 15th, Mr. Portman. Now, in your own admission, the road contractors were anxious and needed reassuring. There was this penalty clause hanging over your head, which we now discover was covered by no form of indemnity.
But at that particular time, I was completely unaware of this fact. I've only just...
Oh, come now, Mr. Porton. You're not asking us to believe that you, the managing director of the company, didn't know such an important fact?
Well, I assure you that it is so. You know, the details like this, the day-to-day running of the company, I leave to my managers. My function is purely administrative.
So much so that you call at one of your sites to have a discussion at 8 o'clock at night with the site foreman?
I called at the site simply because it was on my way. I'd heard a gale warning, and I wondered whether the bridge had been linked up. It was as simple as that.
Ah, yes, this gale warning that never was. Now, you say you heard it on the radio, I believe.
Yes.
At what time?
Oh, about 6 o'clock.
Now, the Meteorological Office, who issue these information which is broadcast, gave no gale warning that day for the Carron area of either Force 8 or Force 9.
I don't understand.
I think you understand very well, Mr. Porton.
Miss Tate, just what is the status of this document for the purposes of the rules of evidence?
The document has been agreed between the parties' solicitors, my lord.
You mean the facts have been agreed?
Yes, my lord.
Then I should like the witness, the jury, and Mr. Lloyd to have copies, please.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Porton, do you see any Force 8 or Force 9 gale for the Carron area?
Well, no.
Of course you don't. Because it was pure invention on your part, wasn't it?
No. I heard it. I swear I did.
I suggest that you fabricated this whole story in order to get your own way and get the men back to work that night.
No. Look, there must be some mistake.
The only mistake, as far as you're concerned, Mr. Porton, is that we took the trouble to check this mythical gale.
No, I heard it.
Well, I'd like to move on now, if we may, please.
Here,
Mr.
I see.
Porton?
No, please, my lord.
I think the witness should be allowed to speak, Miss Tate.
Of course, my lord.
Well, it's here. Force 8 increasing to 9, Shannon area. Shannon. You see, I obviously misheard him, thought he said Karen. I mean, Shannon and Karen sound very similar.
Do they?
Well, yes. Yes, of course they do.
Well, I'd like to go back now to your meeting with Mr. Walker on the night of March the 15th. Now, Mr. Walker states that you sort of suggested that the men should go back to work.
That's quite untrue, madam. I neither said, suggested, nor implied any such thing. I would have only asked the men to go back to work if the weather had deteriorated to such a degree that the bridge was in danger.
Then why raise the matter of the impending gale at all?
Because there was a possibility that we might have to take action. I was merely forewarning him.
Well, are you saying then that Mr. Walker misunderstood you, that he took the reference to the future as referring to the present?
No, he understood me very well. I mean, that is why we agreed that if the gale blew up, he'd send the men up at first light.
Of course, Mr. Walker has viewed this conversation very differently. He even suggests that there was an implication of promotion on your part.
Yes, I heard him. The only talk of promotion that night came from Mr. Walker. As I was leaving, he asked me whether I had made any decision yet.
And how did you answer?
Well, I told him I hadn't made up my mind. At that time, we were considering another man. Walker knew this.
So you're saying that you made no promise to Walker, either veiled or otherwise?
Definitely not.
And yet the fact still remains, Mr. Porton, that Mr. Walker was in fact promoted 1 month later.
Well, he was a better man, that's all.
A man with the company's interest at heart.
I meant that he was better suited to the position, nothing else.
Now these safety belts, are they expensive?
Well, for what they are, and considering they're hardly ever used, yes, I suppose they are.
But of course you're compelled by law to provide them, aren't
Yes.
you? So I suppose you were rather annoyed when they were stolen.
Annoyed? No. Equipment is frequently stolen from a site. It's one of the recognizable hazards.
Oh, but surely being the astute businessman that you are, you wouldn't just sit back and let all this pilfering go on unchecked. You'd surely have done something about it.
Of course. In this case, I suggested to Walker that he got the men to sign for the belts when he had them, so that he could keep a check on them.
You mean that a man would ask Mr. Walker for a safety belt, he would issue it, and then they would sign for it?
I didn't go into the details. It was merely a suggestion I threw out when I heard of the theft. Walker knew as well as I did that the belts had to be freely available. All I know is that whenever I was on the site, they were.
And yet Mr. Walker says that it was frequently locked. I put it to you, Mr. Porton, that you were so annoyed about the theft of these safety belts that you ordered a lock to be put on that door.
No, madam.
Well, are you saying that Mr. Walker put the lock on the door on his own authority?
Well, he certainly didn't do it on mine or on the authority of anybody in my company.
Nevertheless, you do admit that there was a lock on this door.
As there is on any storeroom.
And if the door is locked, then how can these belts have always been freely available?
Well, because when the shed is always open when the men are on duty.
You can swear to that always?
Well, of course I can only actually swear to what I've seen. All I know is that whenever I was at the site, the shed was open and the belts were available. I've already said this.
But you were not at the site when the men went back to work, Mr. Porton.
No.
And yet when Morgan accuses Walker in front of you, you glibly tell him to go and check the safety belt shed for himself. Now, how could you know that it was open?
Well, because I heard him say so. I took his word for it. I mean, I'd employed the man for years. I trusted him. All I knew about Morgan was that he was a troublemaker, a communist. Man was obviously trying to stir things up. He's a born agitator.
You certainly don't like Mr. Morgan, do you?
No, madam, I'm afraid I don't. And then I'm sure he doesn't like me.
So on the word of your trusted employer, on his word alone, you tell Morgan to go and see for himself that the safety belt shed is open.
Yes?
You really must have been very certain of Mr. Walker. Or had you, in fact, been near the safety belt shed yourself that night?
Nope.
Or did you know that the shed was open because you'd asked Walker to open it?
No.
And yet George Walker, your trusted employee, the man who you promoted, the man on whose word you trust, has stated on oath that he unfastened that safety belt shed on your order. Now, why? Why should he invent such a story? By saying this, he has absolutely nothing to gain, rather a lot to lose. Now, can you give the court one valid reason why we should believe your story rather than his? Can you, Mr. Porton?
Yes, madam, I can. I'm sorry to have to say this in public, but I feel that the whole thing is an act of pure vindictiveness on his part. No, the truth of the matter is that his promotion was a mistake. I've known for some time now that he's simply not equipped for management. I think he must have heard that I was looking for someone to fill his position. His pride was hurt. He wanted to hit back and harm the company as much as he possibly could. Unfortunately, he was not to know that he would have been retired on full pension. I believe that that is the only explanation of his incredible behavior.
Mr. Lloyd, Miss Tate, will you concede that there is really only one issue in this case, and that is whether or not the men went up onto the bridge that night in defiance of express instructions? Mr. Lloyd, would you like to answer first?
My lord, I really must concede that is the position.
Thank you. Miss Tate?
I agree that is the position, my lord.
Yes, thank you. Members of the jury, before counsel address you, I should like to clarify matters if I can. The law is that an employer must take reasonable care for the safety of his employees. In addition, it has been laid down by Parliament that an employer must abide by certain safety regulations. Now, Mr. Lloyd, for the defendants, concedes that if the men were sent up onto the bridge that night, after they had worked a 12-hour day, and without safety nets and so on, then the defendants were failing in their duty to their employees and, in particular, to Mr. Stevens. However, the liability of an employer ceases outside the scope of employment. So if it is a fact that the men went up onto the bridge in defiance of express instructions, the defendants cannot be held to be responsible. Mr. Lloyd, perhaps you would like to go on now, would you?
Members of the jury, in an action such as this, the defendant is always placed in the unenviable position that in contesting the case, he may appear callous or unfeeling in the eyes of the world. This is, of course, not so. The management of the defendant company has as much personal sympathy for Jack Stevens as you or I. But the law only awards damages where there is fault, and for no other reason. Therefore, we must concern ourselves with the facts and with nothing else. Well, unfortunately, we've had a long, irrelevant debate on how accident-prone the company is. The simple facts are that over 10 years, it has a much better than average record on accidents. Over 3 years, a slightly worse one. We've had a long debate on Jack Stevens' real age, with the passing round of registers, 3s looking like 7s, etc. But the simple fact is that Jack Stevens was 48 years old when he fell off the bridge. We had a long, involved session on the safety belt shed. But the relevant facts here are that the company had met its lawful obligations by providing safety belts at the site, that no one on the night in question at any point asked Walker for a safety belt, and that no man was ordered to or forced to go up without one. It really doesn't take that long to open a shed. Which brings us to the central and the crucial point of why the men were on the bridge anyway. Now, this gang had a very strong charge hand and active union man in Mr. Morgan, who has fully demonstrated his volatile personality at great length throughout this case. And I maintain that it is absolute nonsense to suggest that Morgan's crew sheepishly went back to work because Walker had ordered them. Because I believe if a man like Morgan really was against going back to work, there would be literally no way you could make him. And I certainly wouldn't like to try. Yet it is a fact that he did go back. Now, could it be that whereas an order or a suggestion from Walker would surely fail, a taunt from Jack Stevens might succeed? Come on, little boy. The men are going back to work. Now let us ask why Jack Stevens actually fell off that bridge. The learned friend has gone to great lengths to show there was no gale on the night and that working conditions were therefore normal, so we know he wasn't blown off. It is a fact that Jack Stevens is 20 years older than his wife. It is a fact that Thomas Morgan regularly took out Mrs. Stevens. The exact nature of their relationship, I'll let you decide. It is a fact that Stevens rowed with and fought Morgan less than 24 hours before the fall. It is a fact that Stevens was seen rubbing his left arm, which later revealed torn ligaments. And it is a fact that despite this injury, he deliberately walked across the top of the girder rather than straddle it, the most dangerous way to cross. And it is a fact that within minutes of climbing that bridge, Jack Stevens had consumed enough alcohol to fail a police breathalyzer test. And it is a fact, regrettably, he fell off the bridge. I submit that this accident, however tragic, was hardly solely the company's responsibility, nor caused as a direct result of their negligence. So I must ask you, on the facts, to reject the plaintiff's claim.
Members of the jury, we have been told that statistics prove that £1 million worth of business cost the life of one man. A cold, hard fact in this high-risk business. But we cannot dismiss the plight of Jack Stevens so simply. He is not a statistic, but a helpless shadow of a man, now totally dependent on others for the rest of his life. We have heard numerous versions and reasons for this accident, but I ask you now to consider just these few basic things. Firstly, Porton was under great pressure to get that bridge finished. It was behind schedule, and the penalty clause we now discover was not covered by any indemnity, a fact that Mr. Porton had strangely forgotten in the court. Secondly, he stood to lose control of the company if another loss was shown. And thirdly, the gale warning. Now, whether he genuinely believed this or not is not the issue. What is important, that his concern for the project was such that he saw fit to visit that site at 8 o'clock at night. Now, members of the jury, if you were in his position, would you have been merely disappointed that the bridge had not linked up? Or would you have rather tried to do something about it? I put it to you that pressure was put upon these men to return to work, whether directly or indirectly, although they were ill-prepared to do so after a 12-hour shift. It is my submission that Porton Construction Company is morally responsible for this accident and should compensate the victims accordingly.
Members of the jury, you have now heard the evidence of both plaintiff and defendant. And while this has been most ably presented by learned counsel, it has also been conflicting to a degree. Many issues have been raised, some you may consider to be irrelevant, others more important. However, as I've already told you, there is really only one issue for you to consider. And that is whether or not those men went up onto the bridge that night in defiance of a direct prohibition by Mr. Walker. In other words, who is lying? Is it Mr. Walker, or Mr. Porton, or Mr. Morgan? Because it is sure that only one of these men can be telling the truth. And when you choose between the evidence of these three men, remember their demeanor in the witness box and ask yourselves who was honest, who prevaricated, whose evidence on all points had the ring of truth about it. I must remind you that in a civil case of this sort, the burden of proof is on the plaintiff. So if you have difficulty in making up your minds on any point of doubt, it must be resolved in favor of the defendant. Will you now retire and consider your verdict?
All stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Just answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached a verdict upon which you are all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find for the plaintiff or the defendant?
For the plaintiff.
Is that the verdict of you all?
Yes.
Jack Stevens was awarded £35,000 in damages. Next week, a chance to join another jury in assessing the facts when our cameras return to watch a leading case in the Crown Court.